Okay. Hey, if I knew how to do this, Kayla, I would. Um, but I'm not going to sing. I can't sing. But I'd have in the background. I would have in the background the Queen song, "We Are the Champions." Actually, I'm not a champion. You are the champion. But I do want to just let
Which I
the
get.
audience know because we've discussed this a couple times, maybe more. But I do pay my bets. I
Yeah,
lost.
you did.
You won, but I
You
paid.
did. You paid in throwing $50 bills at
Well, it
me, but
wasn't throwing, it was like that, right? If you're out, it's like
sliding
it.
them.
Yeah, I slid them at you, but it
Yeah,
was
and I
good.
got my shoes, so I at least
What'd you get?
said um I got a new pair of Ultras, so same I'm a creature of habit, just the same things over and over again, just new.
Nice, nice. Well, they should come in real handy in a week from now, right? About a week and a half?
Yeah. Week and a half.
You
We did our
ready?
lake swim on Friday and the water was 51 degrees. If people don't know water temperature, that's very cold.
Yeah,
And
but
it
you had
was
a wetsuit.
murky. It was murky and
Ugh.
cloudy and oh my god, it was so foul. But we're gonna do another one this Friday and then we'll be done with the open waters till next weekend.
So you went to the same place we go for our little lake swim? Is that where you went?
Yeah,
In Cheat
and
Lake? Yeah.
yeah, there are four
You
of
and
us
Anthony and
and
Steven, right?
Stephen and Lauren, and then Jancy
Hello.
rode in the kayak to
Okay.
lifeguard for us.
She was the
And
okay, Jancy was the guy.
it's a
Okay.
lot different when like nobody's like sometimes we got there, there's a couple boats out there, maybe people were kayaking or fishing, but it's just like a very unsettling feeling when there's nobody out there and you know that there hasn't been anybody in that water all winter and we're like the first ones out there and there's nobody else out there. I don't know. There's just a weird feeling about it. I wanted to get the hell out of there.
Well,
I
you
had
think
pretty good
about
times though, because I was just swimming for dear life, hoping that it would be over soon. So
wow, wow. That's you're pretty comfortable in the water, and, to
yeah, I
say that
wasn't comfortable on Friday. So we'll see. We'll see how this
well, a
week
lot of
goes, and
runoff,
then
a lot of rain, a
it
lot of
was it
runoff into that lake, man.
was
There's just
nasty.
a lot of unsettled water, sure. So we're gonna talk today, we mentioned it last week at the close of, last week's podcast. We're gonna talk today about, hikes and places you can go to just enjoy nature, just get out in nature and enjoy it. And you were really good at kind of framing up how we want to do this. It would be one thing to say, well, it'd be good to go here, but why would these different places be good? Are they family friendly? Are they tough? Are they challenging? Are they thrilling? What kind of views might there be? So what to expect at these different places? And oh, gosh, Kayla, when I truly grow up, I really want to be you. Preparing for this podcast, I realized that in my next life, I want to be you.
Well, thanks. I think
Just been so many different places and seen so many different things and enjoyed those things. I'm a bit jealous. So we'll talk about those things today, but I wanted to kick this off real quickly and just with almost a, well, why is this important? Yeah, sure. The enjoyment, the views, the sights, the experience are good, but what is this actually doing to us mentally and physically? Is hiking good for us other than the obvious, yeah, we're getting out and moving, but what are some of the things? And I'm reading this book right now really quickly, and it's called The Comfort Crisis, and Michael Easterly describes in this book what he calls a 3-day effect. He's a wilderness guy. He gets out there. Matter of fact, the whole premise of this book is him going with two other guys being dropped in the middle of Alaska for 30 days. That's it. Just their tents and some meal packs, and they've got a hunt. Truly, they're on a caribou hunt, and they're wanting to do it very how do I want to naturalistically. I mean, they don't have all the they're not setting these caribou up. They're not going into this this man-made hunt. It's truly they don't know where they
primitive.
are, and they're out there. And anyhow, so the 3-day effect is basically simply this. When you're in nature, something happens to you mentally and physically. On day 1, your brain is still wired for notifications. It's still wired for just information coming in, coming in, coming in. Day 2, you begin to kind of lose that. You begin to kind of free yourself from this daily constant stress of all this stuff going on around you. And by day 3, you are finally connected with nature, and your mind clears, and cortisol really, is reduced, and all these different things happen. So that's a 3-day effect. I'm not saying, Kayla, that we're going to talk about a 3-day hike and just being out in the wilderness with nothing but a couple meal packs. We're going to talk more about just the enjoyment of hiking and going out and being in nature. If you would do this daily or weekly, just small trips. And I think some of the places you'll describe, people can do that, not just these big, long trips. So let's talk about hiking. Let's talk about different places you've been. And I'm going to say you've been. I might add a couple things, but you've been all over the place. As you think about hike, why do you hike? Why do you do that? What enjoyment do you get out of it?
Um, well, I feel like I have a hard time just like meditating and like sitting and so I find that when I'm hiking, I can get to that state. Like I feel like my best ideas come from when I'm out hiking. I feel like I have, when I'm hiking with someone, I feel like I have the best conversation. I'm actually like present and listening and it's just I don't know, I can get to that state of where I just am not really I'm thinking, but I'm not so scatterbrained, it's more focused.
Yeah, I think, well, that is one of the things that takes place in that kind of that 3-day effect, that mental clarity, it just increases, and part of it is increased creativity and problem solving ability. I can't tell you. I mean, just even taking Leo out into the Botanic Garden, which is right behind my house, and just going on those trails for an hour, my mind is just clear, and I'm thinking of things that if I sat at a desk and tried to bang out ideas, they would never come to me. But I'm being out there with Leo and just walking, and they just come. They just start to come. So let's talk about different places you've been, and different things, if we can, because our audience is mostly local, but our local audience could also travel. If we could kind of do this, and we might not be able to do this for each category, but if you could, we're going to go like a state park, something here that people can maybe drive within an hour, 2 hours. And it may be something on a grander scale, places you've been outside of the state or in the United States or wherever it is you might have traveled. Kind of picture them both that way. So if I were to say to you, the most thrilling hike, challenging hike that you've been on, either in a state, and maybe a national park. What would you, say?
Yeah. Um, so I think in the state, well, down it's not in the state, but it's just,
Okay.
south of us, maybe, like, Roanoke area, between, like, Lewisburg and Lewisburg and well, I guess it's Roanoke, but, like, the, Triple Crown, it's in Virginia. That's, so there's, like, Dragon's Tooth, McAfee Knob, and then there's a 3rd one. We just did those 2.
Is it
We did
Peaks
them.
of Otter?
What is it?
Is it Peaks of Otter?
I'm not sure what the 3rd one is, but those 2 are like you can do a lot of people do them like a backpacking hike. We did one a day and you needed like a day for them, but they were super cool, challenging. There were some like scrambles in there and it's only a couple hours I think to get there, but um if you Google McAfee Knob, there's like one little knob that kind of looks over the Virginia mountains, and so it's really, really pretty, and it was a challenging hike, a little bit. It's hard, I feel like, to get thrilling hikes around here, but that one was cool. Really a thrilling thing in the area that's not necessarily a hike is the Via Ferrata over in, so it's part of the North Fork mountain range, so where Seneca Rocks is. The Via Ferrata, it's half climbing, so you're harnessed in, but you scale the rock face. And so
Mm.
anybody can do it. You don't have to be like a rock climber because there's rungs, but that's definitely the most thrilling. And that's like an hour and a half from us over near the Seneca Rocks area. It's that same mountain range. It's just you're climbing a different part, not the actual Seneca Rocks side, but
I think that's interesting because most people would recognize Seneca Rocks, and Seneca Rocks, it's a nice little trail. You go up the side of that mountain and you get to that overlook, and that's great. But I don't know that much of our audience knows of that Via Ferrata. You know that aspect that's right
yeah,
next to
super
it.
cool. And it's cheap. It's like go over for a day. There's a guide and maybe 6 people go with you. You hike out like a mile and a half, 2 miles, and then you're harnessed in, you have a helmet on, and you hook into the cable, and then you just climb rungs and scale the one side of the mountain or the rock face, and then you scale the other side. You get to go up to the top. It's pretty sweet. Yeah, I would just highly suggest anybody do that. And anybody can do it. Like, I mean, obviously you have to have some physical abilities, but it's not,
Right?
you don't have to be a rock climber. That is pretty cool.
How far up are we? I mean, if I look
Um,
down, would I panic?
Hi. Yeah, you'd panic, but you're harnessed. So if you fall, there's like eyelets every 6 feet, I think. So if you fall, you're only falling like 6 feet at a time.
Oh, that's all. Yeah, it is, and you're going to rely on those eyelets to make sure. You know, yeah,
Yeah.
this is coming from somebody that won't get into an MRI because he's claustrophobic. I mean, I could just imagine what I'd be like trying to say, well, this little eyelet's going to hold me up. All right. But I trust you. All right. I like that. Okay. But let's span out a little bit. What about, so just thinking about the United States and the different, national
hmm
parks and things that we can see, is there one that was really challenging for you that might be somewhere in the States?
So there's two that I've done. The first one was Angel's Landing, and that's in
Where's that?
Zion National Park. And I
Where's
tried
Zion
it
National Park? Let's go. Come on. I mean,
in
you're
Utah.
okay. All right.
Um, so it's like I think it's rated in the top 5 dangerous hikes in the US, and it's not long. So I think it's only like round trip 3.5 miles, something like that, less than 5 miles. Um, but you are not, I tried it in, I don't know, 2016 maybe. And I didn't make it up. I had to stop halfway. And then that was the first time I had really done anything like that. And then we went, Lauren and I went back probably 4 years ago and we did it. But we did it in like the end of February. And so it was still snow covered. So you had to use crampons to do it, which was kind of terrifying because there's ice all over. But yeah, it's pretty, you do, I forget how many switchbacks. So you're like switchback, switchback. And then they have chains that are like tethered into the side of the mountain
Okay.
and
Sorry.
you have to
Sorry.
hold.
Sorry. You gotta help me here. Switchback. Switchback. What the heck is a switchback?
So they carve in like back and forth up the side of the mountain because it's straight up. So you
Okay.
can't go vertically.
Right.
So
Right.
they
Right.
do
Right.
switchbacks. And I forget how many there are, but there's a lot for a hike. Like, you know, so you do a lot of those. And so that's challenging, like maybe cardiovascularly, but then you get to the point where it's kind of like the summit, I guess. And that's where you have to, I mean, you're walking on like rock ledges that are a foot wide, right? You're foot over foot walking on them, and it's
Nice.
thousands and thousands of feet down on either side. But then you do get to a point. I think the reason the first time that I didn't like it, we went in like I think June, and so it was packed. And it was before you had to get a permit to do it. So there was just so many people, and there are parts where you're hanging on a chain that's tethered into the side of the mountain. But if a person comes, you have to reach around them because you can't let go of that chain. And so that scared me because I'm like, well, if that person slips, I'm dead. So it was actually a lot better going in February because it wasn't as crowded. Even though the snow was there, I trusted myself more than I trusted like other people. So that one was pretty
Wow.
crazy. And then I would highly suggest that if you are a thrill seeker. And it's not super long, so it's not like you're up there all. We did it on our way to the airport. we stopped, hurried up, ran up there, and took our
Wow.
time across the top, and then did it. So you don't need, like, all day to do it. You do need a permit now, though. And then I tried for 3 years to get a permit to hike Half Dome, and that's in Yosemite, and I did that. I ended up never getting a permit, but there was a group of guys that were hiking, um, and they had permits, and one of their friends couldn't come, so they let me use their other permit. So that one is really challenging. Like I said, it's in Yosemite. Also, like, top 5, most dangerous hikes, but you have to hike a long time, so that was probably the hardest part. It's like, an all-day hike. I mean, we started before
Wow.
sunrise, and I think it was like 18 miles round trip, but when you get to the top, there's like a quarter mile of the granite rock slab. Like, you see that if you look at a picture of Yosemite, that's the picture
Yeah.
of Half Dome. You climb up the rock face of that, and you're not harnessed in, and that was probably the scariest thing that I have done because it's just like, you're climbing on open face rock with cables. That's it.
So when we see that picture, that's kind of the top.
Yeah,
That's the end of
that's
the hike?
that's half Dome. So Yosemite, there's El Capitan, which is like the big climbing wall, and then there's Half Dome, which is like the big rock face with the little rounded
Yeah.
cap,
Yep.
looks like a little tip at the top. So once you hike up in there, once you get there, they have cables in the summer that are I don't know, anchored into the rock, and that's what you. But there's like 2x4s sitting screwed into the rock, and that's what you're putting your feet on, and so that kind of scared me because they're like wobbling, and yeah, it was pretty scary, but it was really cool once you got up there because you could see the whole. I mean, Yosemite is a huge national park, and you could see the whole national park from up there.
Wow.
But then when you come down, you have like 8 miles to get back down to the car. So
Well, that's what I was gonna say. The top is hard enough as it is and challenging. You've got quite a hike just even to get to there.
yeah, there's a lot of fueling on the hike, just like eating all day to make sure you have enough energy to get through it.
That's crazy. That's awesome. Let's go to the other let's go let's calm my nerves down a little bit, and stop my heart rate here just hearing you describe these things. How about family friendly? I mean, yeah, it's great that you and Lauren can go or you can go on yourself when you're younger and be adventurous and all that, but a lot of our clients out there have families. Um, what would you recommend from a family standpoint? Maybe even here locally to start.
Yeah. So we went camping at Summersville Lake, and we've been to Summersville a bunch, but I think it's called the Mountain Lake Campground. And we said I'm like, as a kid, this place would be so cool because they have like mini golf there, they have like a beach area, they have ice cream, they have like little trails for kids, a fantastic playground. And when we're camping, like, not gonna lie, I don't love it when it's a jam-packed kid campground, but like that it was cool to see because I mean, you could take like a whole week vacation there, as with a family and have tons of things to do, just to be out, even if you don't have a boat or anything, just to be out on the lake. We right at the campground, they had a little trail down there, they had kayak and paddleboard rentals, and kids could use. They had a beach there just for the campground. So I was like, yeah, this would be. And even if you didn't get in the water, they had like disc golf and mini golf and just tons of stuff for kids. So that was cool. Just for a hike, I always think Audra is a good place for kids to go. It's like 2.5 mile hike if you do I think it's the Alum Creek Trail. It's not hard. You go along the water. It's kind of cool because you go, like, they have a boardwalk thing built under the Have you been to
Mm,
Audra?
haven't.
Have
No,
you?
so I'm making
Yeah,
my
it's
list
super.
too here.
It's super cool. Yeah, well, I take the dogs there a lot. Sometimes it gets busy, but it goes along the water, so kids can go down and play in the water. Dogs can play in the water. It's like 2.5 miles. Not super challenging, but it's really pretty because the water is right there. Um, but I've
You
camped
know,
there
as
before. It's
yeah.
nice campground.
As I was hearing you just describe, Somerville Lake and just the things that, the campground there that you can do. The thing that just stuck out to me too is hiking, camping, not really expensive. I mean,
No,
you can get
no.
there's so many things that you can do that don't involve money, right?
That was my family vacation as a kid, a week at the Yogi Bear campground. That's what
Oh,
I was
goodness.
like, I didn't know that people I mean, I heard of, like, Disney and stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
I think we maybe went to the beach a couple times as a kid, but we're talking, like, Virginia Beach or Ocean City, and that was, like, a big deal. But, I mean, I loved going to I thought that was I got excited for that every summer, the Yogi Bear campground, and I think Summersville, that's what kinda reminded me of that, like, it was just very family friendly, and people were staying there for, a while, and it's just cool to see, like, kids having fun with not much, you
Yeah.
know? It's not an
No,
all-inclusive resort.
I I I agree. I think there's just so much value to just quiet, calm, and just, being in our own teaching kids how not to have something in front of you all the time that's gonna entertain you, whether it be Disney or these tourist places that just attract people, and it's almost like they're designed just to distract you and keep you just going from here to here, whereas when you're out in nature, you can just kinda calm down and these kids can start to use their own imagination and learn things about themselves that maybe they haven't discovered because there was never an opportunity to, so I love that. I mean, I think we should get as I look back, I wish I did more of that for our kids. We weren't a big vacation family. I mean, we're going to Yogi Bear's camp. I mean, we man, this is one of the things why I say, in the beginning, when I grow up, I want to be like you. And if there's anybody out there with young families and everything, I would highly encourage it that you take this opportunity now while your kids are young and find places like you just described. We didn't go on vacation a lot, we were always working, and
Yeah.
sports, always, we gotta it's the thing, "Well, we got sports camps, we got this, and we got that, we got this and that," and just the ability to slow down and maybe, go to that Yogi Bear is maybe as goofy as you made it sound, it's still getting you out there. Any places you've traveled to, maybe a little bit further that, you think kids would enjoy? Family?
Yeah, we, went to Acadia National Park in Maine, which, I do most of my, like, longer distance travel out west. I'm a big fan of the out west or the Pacific Northwest, but, that was really probably one of my only East Coast, like, adventure trips, and, um but it was very family friendly, like, the hikes were I mean, there were a couple bigger hikes, but just around the lakes, they have, like, a little, cafe there that they're known for their popovers, which if people are listening are from the Northeast, I think that that is a big deal.
Siobhan, what are they?
Yeah.
Siobhan's from Massachusetts of it.
But they were, like, a big deal. You had to, like, wait in line in this little I don't even know what it's something house, but it's, like, this old school I don't know, it kinda made you feel like you were in the primitive time. But that was cool, but there were just lots of little nature trails that weren't big adventurous hikes, but it's really pretty there, and then, like, the town we stayed in, uh, Bar Harbor, and that was just, like, a cool little, port town, a little seaside town, bay town, I don't know, whatever it is on the Northeast coast, but I thought that when I was there, it wasn't I would say for me, it wasn't my favorite, like, most adventurous national park, but it was very good for families. Like, I've told my sister that, like, I think because she's not super adventurous, I've told her, like, I think that she would like it because you can get out and go for a couple mile walk or so, and you can drive to a lot of places. That's another thing, um, like, I probably a lot of people love it. It was I would say for me, it was one of my least favorite just because it was a lot of drive by, but it was Yellowstone. Um but then someone like my sister would love it because you can drive and see kind of the landmarks. And I think for kids or family, or if you're not super, oh, like our client Bob went there, right? And that would be good because he wants to adventure and go on little things, but he can't go out for a 10-mile adventurous hike. Whereas, like my parents really liked Yellowstone because you can drive and see. That would be a good family trip. There's just so much to
I
see
like
there,
that.
wildlife and landmarks of the popular place. What's the thing that explodes in
Um,
Yellowstone?
Gushers, what are they?
Yeah, what is that called? Old Faithful.
Old
Old
Faithful.
Faithful. Yeah, so the
Yeah.
geyser, they
Geysers. Yeah.
same time every day they like come off. For a kid that would be cool.
Yeah, and for a 76, 78-year-old too, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's, you brought up the Northeast and yeah, I get, there's I think there's so many places. That's why sometimes when I hear people, I've gotta go overseas, I've gotta go to Europe, I've gotta go here, I've gotta go there. Man, there are so many places in the United States that we can see and visit, that are really cool, and I think sometimes and I'm from New York, and I'm from the Northeast, but not quite where you were, in Maine there. But if you wanted to drive and your sister lives on one of them, and I think it's a great drive if you could do it over a weekend, and that's just travel to the different Finger Lakes,
Nice,
in
yeah.
upstate New York. It's a beautiful
And drink a
country.
lot of
It's
wine.
well, there's a lot of wine, yeah, yeah, and
That's why every time I go to my sister's, she lives on Cayuga, and
right.
I'm like, I've been here every year for the past how many years? Every time we go to a new winery, I'm like, how many damn wineries are there up here?
Yeah, but it's fun, and you can just do a day, weekend trip, and you can drive to each lake. There's a route you can take. It can take you to the wineries if you want. Really just it's a special part of the country that oftentimes people outside of New York that think of New York, they only think of, the big city
The
and
city.
those types of things. You got just even up in Vermont where Bob's moving, right? Burlington and that whole Lake Champlain, that whole area up there, Lake Placid on the other side of the lake in the New York side. Great places, that can go and you can even get that old Olympic kind of feel when you go to Lake Placid as well. Um, how about best views? Well, you maybe even touched on it a little bit, but best views. If you wanted to go find a best view somewhere around, where would you go?
Um, well, I think this kind of goes into, I think we talked about a little bit views or like diversity. But
Okay.
if you want um, like we're going to Arizona here in 2 weeks. And a lot of the views are the same. You're in Red Rock Desert, which is amazing, but you're kind of seeing the same thing because the region that you're in is the same. It's the same thing. I've gone to like Arches and Bryce Canyon and the Grand Canyon. They're all similar, and you're hitting those in a trip. But we did a trip to Olympic National Park, or the Pacific Northwest. We covered a lot of miles in 8 days, but that was like kind of the coolest diverse views, I would say, is because each day, like you're in the same national park, but you're starting off like, we flew into Seattle and then went to the eastern side of the park first. And you're in the mountains. So we hiked, it's a popular hike called Mount Storm King. Which, you're hiking elevation, you're in the mountains, it's green, there's lakes at the bottom, you're seeing, it's gorgeous. And then the next day we went a little bit more west and you're in the rainforest. So that was
Mm.
like a complete, it's not mountainy anymore. It's just like very lush and green and flat, and there's a lot of vegetation, and it just like smells different. Like, and it's crazy because just this day before we're in like dirt rock mountain, and then this we're in the rainforest. It's just completely different. And then the next day we went over to the furthest western side, which was like Rialto Beach, and that's the coastal part of the national park. So that's like all the rock formations out in the
Mm.
ocean. And it's crazy because it's like, well, 2 days ago I was just here. It just was so different over time. And then the next day we drove to Mount Rainier, and it's snow covered. Like we couldn't even hike. We had to snowshoe because it was, they had, and this was in late April, early May. And it was still covered in snow. Um, so I would say that would be like a very diverse trip if you want to see a bunch of different things. And there's cities there too, like Portland and Seattle are there, which are cool to see if you want to split up the trip of nature and like city.
City, urban, sure. Yeah. What's your best view in West Virginia?
The Chimney Rock is my favorite. It's part of the North Fork Mountain. And I feel like it's the coolest view. So at the top, you can look it up, but if you look up Chimney Rock at North Fork Mountain Trail, it's a pretty strenuous hike. I mean, it's not bad. It's just kind of uphill the whole way. Um, I think it's maybe 6 miles. It's out and back, 6 miles round trip. But when you get to the top, there's like straight, looks like a chimney kind of made from rocks up there. And then you can kind of like climb up on them. And then it's just a long, long strip of rock that sits on the top. Not as like big and grand as Seneca rocks, but it just is like a long stretch of just like rock along the side, and you can stand like up on top of it and see it. I think that's a pretty good view.
Wow, that's cool. So I know when we kind of just hinted on it a little bit, if we were to say tour the Finger Lakes in New York, there's little wineries that you could visit. How about? Because I always like when we do travel, I like the small towns. I like to get into small towns to see what the feel of it's like. Is there any? Has there been any travel that you've done that involved hiking that, yeah, when you got done, it was just a really neat place just to sit down and unwind and just watch the locals and just enjoy that and learn something new.
Yeah. So I mean, it's not. I do a lot of. It's not necessarily hiking. There's a lot of trails. It's very outdoorsy, but
Okay.
obviously I go to Rehoboth every year, and every year I go there, make new friends. Like I go by myself. It's just like a tradition that I
Well, you
do.
don't go by yourself.
I
You don't
take
go by
a
yourself.
dog.
Yeah.
I take a dog and we just go and we just hang out, and I go to the local bars and restaurants, and I always like meet the coolest people. And it's like a big retirement area, so they're usually older people. um but yeah, it's like this last time I met a 73-year-old lady, and we sat and talked for 2.5 hours, and it's like, I don't know, I just wouldn't necessarily do that here. I feel like every time I go there, people are so friendly and they're just so welcoming, and they're that this time of year they're local, so they're not tourists, like they live there. So they're always telling me where to take the dog and where to go, like hidden like breakfast places or hidden breweries that people don't know about. I don't know. I just really like that place, but I wouldn't say it's like an adventurous place. But my favorite town, um, that I've been to in the US would probably be Moab. That was my favorite,
Okay, where's
like,
Moab?
it's where Arches National Park is. And
Okay,
so
can you get a little bit more out, like, state? Can
Utah,
you just
Utah,
okay, back into Utah. Alright.
Utah. Um, It was like, because a lot of the national parks, they're very touristy, so usually the outskirts are just packed full. Like Yosemite was insane. Like you couldn't hang out there. But something about Moab was it was just like a real small town, quaint feeling. Like little mom and pop restaurants, no chain restaurants, very outdoorsy, lots of like climbing shops and mountain bike shops, that kind of feel. Really good brewery. It wasn't overly crowded. People were super nice. I camped there and got some help at the camp because I didn't have any gear. So they helped me out, hooked me up with some gear just to camp in for the night. But I really liked that town.
Yeah.
As far as in West Virginia, I'm trying to think of my favorite. Well, obviously I love Davis and
Mhm.
Thomas.
Yep.
They're getting a little bit busy for my liking. I will say I have to give a plug to Elkins. So obviously I grew up in Elkins and it was much different, but I went back last summer, and it's quite a cool town now. I feel like if you're not from there, people would really enjoy like going it's completely changed. The downtown vibe is very cute and quaint and a lot of nice boutique shops and bars, restaurants. It's kinda hip. It's turning hipster. My dad hates
Boy.
it because he's like, "It's hipster." But it's pretty cool. I like it now.
Yeah. I think it's funny, if I think back to where I have traveled, it was kinda neat. My wife and I, Cynthia, we were, probably 1 or 2 years into our marriage, and we had our little dog, Buddy, and we traveled to Lake Placid, and it was in the winter. It was just really, really cool. The lake was frozen over. They built this big, huge, slide that you would go down, and we took Buddy on it, and we're sliding down on that thing, and it would go out into the lake, 100, 200 yards. You were going so fast, but the town itself had these nice little, boutiques and had these little bars and restaurants, and it's just really just small town, small town. It wasn't big, and you got to meet the locals, and you got to talk to them and everything. I enjoy doing it. Like when you met that woman, at Rehoboth, and were able to just sit down and talk, just to learn about you know the the different people in the region was just really, really cool. So I like places where you can go that have that small town feel, that know how to entertain too. I mean, and when I say entertain, it's not touristy, it's not it's not developed for that reason,
Yeah.
but you can just dive into it and really enjoy it when you're there. I really like that. Let's uh let's transition to the future. Okay, well, this
Future.
summer you do have a trip planned. All right, where are you going?
Yeah.
Or not summer, this April, couple weeks.
Yeah,
You
2
got a trip
weeks.
planned. Where are you going? And then are there any uh places that you have on your wish list, your to-do list?
Yeah. So yeah, I'm going to April. We are doing so we call it a road trip. We fly there, but then we do a road trip from there. Uh, and Lauren has told me that I'm not allowed to call it a vacation because on vacation you relax, and we are on the move from sunup until sundown every day. But we're going to Tucson, uh, Saguaro, Petrified Forest, Monument Valley, Grand Canyon because Lauren has never been there, so I figured you have to see it while you're out there. I don't. It's not my favorite, but it's worth if you're driving right by it. Flagstaff, and then we'll be in Sedona for 2 days. So everywhere else is just 1 day drive, 1 day drive. Um, so I'm excited for that. But places I want to go. I want to go to Banff.
Help
Um,
me. Banff. Where's
so
that?
western part of Canada, so right
Oh,
across the border.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I've always wanted to go there. We were going to do that trip this year, but um, Lauren hasn't spent much time in the desert lands. I have, and I love it to experience because it feels like you're on. I feel like you're in on a different planet because you just don't see that here. It's just and we spent a little bit of time in Arizona. We did Page, Arizona, and Horseshoe Bend. But we were there in the winter, so it looks a lot different. Like when it's snow covered, we did Bryce Canyon, which same thing. Like you think of red rocks and you think of the hoodoos, but when they're snow covered, it doesn't look the same as when like the sun's reflecting off the orange
Mm.
and red rock. So we wanted to go now. Now is a good time to go. But yeah, I would say Banff is my next bucket list place. I like we've talked about the Everglades. I've never like we always try to do like really I think it would be different. I think it would be unique. Like the
Mm.
experience would be unique. I don't love alligators, but I think it's a national park, and my goal is to go to all the national parks, and so that's one that I feel like would just be different. It's like,
Yeah. Well, it's totally different than all the ones that you've just described, really. It's you're in a swamp now
mm-hmm,
and, as opposed to the mountains. Alright. Well, cool. Well, I appreciate you taking us on a trip, mentally, places we can unwind, places we can kind of maybe reset our bodies, to, a more healthy kind of way. Doesn't involve, maybe some of it involves money traveling to get there, but once you're there, pretty much cheap.
Pack a cooler.
Yeah,
Amp and pack a cooler, and you don't I mean, I have to say, that is something, is, like, there's a thrill in when we travel, is, like, we will go out to eat, like, in a cool little but we're not stopping at chain restaurants, little cool town, we'll go out to eat. But a lot of time, I just pack a cooler, put all our stuff in there, we'll cook in our Airbnbs, most of the places have grills. We stay in cabins and, we're talking like $80 a night, stay in a cabin. We're just sleeping there. So I don't know. Some people don't like that, but I find it very satisfying to go on such a long, big adventure. And then really the biggest expense you have is your flight out there, which,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I think it's great. Well, I got a few years left in my life. I think, hopefully,
better
I'm
get to traveling.
especially doing what we do, and increasing our ability to enjoy life much longer. So I'm gonna I've jotted down a few of the places that you've recommended, and we're gonna see if we can get out there. I think we discussed this on a previous podcast, like a vacation. Love to be able to get my whole family and just spend 20,000 bucks. I know we just said, and I don't have. I'd have to
I need a lot more
raise.
clients.
Yeah, I need a lot more clients, but no, just to get everybody out there. Um, I just think there's something about nature that that most of us are not connecting with, and I think there's such a value to it. And I'd like to. What's the word I'm looking for? I'm looking for a word. Help me out, Kayla. I'm just enjoy experience,
Experience, yeah.
experience it um, in the future here. So, all right. Well, thank you very much, tour guide Kayla Smith, for additional trip. You can contact
You can
OPEX.
contact me.
Yeah.
I'll have all
You've
my
been a tour
itineraries
guide for many.
saved. Yeah, I love it. I love helping people do that.
All right.
Pretty
Let's
cool.
make better, healthy choices in life, get into the gym more, but also get out in nature and enjoy it. See you next week.
See ya.